Last Saints preseason game of the year is upon us, ladies and gentlemen. It is currently halftime of the New Orleans Saints versus the Tennessee Titans. And I want to talk about what we learned this preseason. I think we have seen enough now to kind of deduce, kind of quantify, if you will, exactly what we took or what we can take from the preseason. Unless something insane happens in the second half, I think what I'm about to say is going to stick. So there are some things we learned this game, the third game, like who's the backup quarterback. There's some things we learned about who's the quarterback of the future. There's even some things we learned about the offensive line this game. We also found some things out about the receivers this game, but we'll also talk about some of the players that didn't play, like Derek Carr, and what we've learned overall this preseason. So let's talk about this game specifically. I'll tell you this. So we always talk about the bad, but we have to talk about the good as well, right? And I'm talking about Trevor Penning. Trevor Penning, pretty decent this game. Trevor Penning has had some good blocks. He's had some good moments in key situations. Blocks to spring big-time runs, blocks to spring touchdowns. So maybe he's turning a corner. I sure as hell hope so. I hope Trevor is figuring it out. I hope at least the offense is figuring out how to use Trevor. Because one of my commenters astutely commented that the San Francisco 49ers really have one great offensive lineman, but no one ever talks about it because they do a good job of disguising the rest. 100% agree. I've said it before that the Niners, their offensive line is considered probably a top, like maybe the 20th, 21st offensive line in the NFL, but no one ever really talks about that being an issue because they do disguise it well, and they do make sure that when they have to have it, Trent Williams is heavily involved, right? So this system, this scheme does kind of lend itself to that, to disguising offensive linemen, not leaving them on an island, not forcing them to create a beautiful pocket for Derek Carr or for the run game or whatever. That's the whole point of this offense, is to get players in positions to where they can succeed. And as long as we can get average offensive line play as a whole, which sometimes Trevor Penning can be below average, right? Like, we don't need him to be great all the time. We just need him to be average baseline with some spells of being below average or whatever. Today, as this game has happened, I find myself relatively confident that this offensive line can be good enough for us to have success. I mean, I think the running game all preseason is something we all should feel pretty positive about. I mean, whether it's James Robinson, who's running great this game, Jordan Mims, who's running great this game, whether it's been Jamal Williams at times, whether it's been Taysom Hill at times, I think the running game has shown that it's going to do exactly what we thought it was going to do. It's going to utilize that wide zone kind of system. It's going to use the zone running scheme to open up holes, and we're not going to rely on 1995 football of big man versus big man. Whoever wins. Like, that's not how the NFL works anymore. So I feel good about the running game compared to last year. Do I think we're going to end up being the best running offense in the NFL? No, but I think we're going to be much better than not having a running back over 80 yards in any game like we saw last year. Also, offensively, I thought what was bad this game, and what is a question, is the wide receiver depth. We saw a ton of drops today. A ton of drops. A.T. Perry had a couple there. St. Brown had a couple. Even some. Who was it? The 86. Jacobson had a drop from Rattler. That was a beautifully thrown ball. Beautiful progression in Rattler's reads that Jacobson dropped. But we're thin at wide receiver. Like Chris Olave, I have a lot of confidence in. Why would you not? Rashid Shaheed, we need him to take a step forward. Beyond that, I'm not feeling good about any of them. Bub Means had some drops. I'm not feeling great about our third option overall. And I'm certainly not feeling great if you told me that Rashid Shaheed does not take that step forward. So wide receiver is an issue. Wide receiver may be low-key, high-key, low-key, might be the right up there with the offensive line. Right up there. It's Olave and then question marks. Offensive line is kind of McCoy and question marks. You could even say McCoy and Fuaga and question marks. But we need to figure something out offensively with the wide receivers. I don't know if that's... I've heard a lot of people say bring in Juju. I think Juju Smith-Schuster has had moments of being good. I don't know the money situation, but I wouldn't have a problem bringing him in. I wouldn't have a problem at all. If Juju was our second receiver or third receiver and allowed Shaheed to be a little more creative and didn't force Shaheed into that second wide receiver role. So the only caveat to that is that this offense does utilize the 2 tight end, 2 running back sets a lot. So we don't really need 3. We're not going to run 3 wide receiver packages, the typical, 3 wide receiver sets that you see a lot of teams run that we ran last year. We're not going to see that a lot from the Saints. So that helps, right? That helps because if we figure out the 2 wide receivers and then we utilize one of our 14 tight ends and one of our 14 running backs to be kind of the other keys to that, then you throw Taysom in there who can play any position. Maybe the wide receiver thing won't be that big of a deal, but I am concerned after the drops in this game right here. Defensively, what we learned this preseason defensively is that we're good. We're good. I think we can go ahead and write that in. Any questions we had specifically about Chase Young? Any questions we had about Chase Young? I might go have neck surgery tomorrow. I don't even have a bad neck, but I might go have neck surgery because apparently after that you turn into the greatest defensive player of all time. I mean, Chase Young Defensive Player of the Year tickets might be selling hot in New Orleans. So the defense answered any questions that people had about how good they actually are. I tout them as a top 5 unit, top 10 unit. I think last year they were probably closer to like a top 15 unit. From what I've seen, I'd be absolutely stunned if this was not a top 10 defense. And like I said, closer to top 5. So that's huge. That's huge. Seeing that kind of production from Chase Young, seeing that kind of production from our defensive line, which has been a weak spot of the defense, you absolutely love to see that. Love to see it. What we learned with the system, we didn't see a ton. Didn't see a ton of Kubiak's system. Didn't see a ton of creativity. We saw it in spurts. We see it a lot in the running game. I think we see it mostly in the running game. You can see that there is obviously a difference of how we're running the football. And yeah, we're running against preseason defenses, but we're running effectively, 100%. And even the style of run, is completely different than what we saw last year. So let's go ahead and I have Twitter pulled up with a couple of these highlights from the game. Of course, if you're not following me on Twitter, what are you doing? Go follow the boy. Let's go ahead and take a look. So this is the Rattler throw. The touchdown pass. Unbelievable throw. I mean, talk about a dime. I had just tweeted about how the receivers are dropping a lot of passes and doing the quarterbacks no favor. The very next throw was this throw. Good catch, obviously a good catch, but what a throw in the window. And I mean, the catch itself is whatever. It's more of holding on to it, getting sandwiched like that. But what a throw. Like when you look at this right here and you think about where Rattler has to drop this ball, very, very nice stuff. I mean, Rattler, this was the game where he had to come out there and announce that he was going to be the backup quarterback. And he did. I think he did. That's the field goal. Oh, this is Samson Nakua had just did this. So he tried to return this 58-yard attempt, which the kicker didn't make. Nakua tries to return it, steps out at like the 3. Nakua, how, brother? How do you do all of this and you don't score? Like, this is the difference. It sounds crazy, and I'm not saying that it will like specifically affect Samson, but this is the difference. Where if you make a play like this in preseason, it's enough for a coaching staff or a front office to say, like, well, we're in between these two players. This guy returned a 108-yard field goal, a missed field goal. He returned that for a touchdown. Let's leave him on the roster just because he has the ability to do stuff like this. So, again, I'm not saying this specific play will determine the fate of Samson Nakua, but preseason performances like this can be the razor's edge of who gets cut, who doesn't get cut, who makes the starting roster and who doesn't. So I would love to see Samson make a play because I know he made a play, but I would love for him to finish this with emphasis because we need something. We need something else from our playmakers. But that's what that one was. There's one more I wanted to look at. There's a couple I wanted to look at. None of the Titans.
These are prime opportunities. Jacobson.
Let's see. This is Rattler. Oh, this is our Rattler. This is the touchdown pass. Okay. Keep looking here.
Appreciate that.
This is Rattler moving around, looking good. This is a good one here. Let's look at Rattler. I mean, this is Rattler came in.
I think the running backs appreciate it too. Rattler trying to make things happen. He's across the line, so running.
Rattler, I mean, no sportsmanship there. Rattler's the backup quarterback. Rattler is better than Haener. I hate to say that I hate being right all the time, but I think we all saw this coming. Haener's a fine player. Haener's a fine, good backup to have. Seems like a nice guy. Never wrong to be strong, whatever. But Rattler has shown enough this preseason that I don't think there's any question of who is the quarterback of the future. I'm not saying you just, write off Haener after this, but there was enough. There was enough this preseason to see the flashes. I would have Rattler as the guy. Does that mean he would be the backup? Now, this is an interesting question, because even though I see him as the future quarterback, even though I see him as the current next in line, that doesn't necessarily mean I want to rush his development. So if Derek Carr gets hurt on play 1, game 1, I'd probably throw Haener in there. And that's going to confuse a lot of people. But I'd probably throw Haener in there because if I see a lot out of Rattler down the road, I don't want to risk that just to emergency throw him in a bad situation. I am always going to err towards the protect the future versus try and bail out a sinking boat, if you know what I mean. But Rattler looked great in the first half, came out like a man possessed. All right, this is what else I wanted to show y'all. I don't know if this is the one with the Penning block. No, it's not. The Penning block was, I think, to his side. So hopefully that's on here too. But look at the style of run. Okay, look at the style of run. This is what I'm talking about in the difference of last year. Like this is that style that we keep talking about there we're going to see. And I love it. I mean, I love what our running game is doing. I love what the running attack is having. Yeah, James Robinson looked really good this game. But I got a lot of confidence in our running offense, the rush offense, because it's not just hand it off, run up the middle, and see what happens. It's not the case. So looks like it also looks like our offensive line might be figured out. Looks like we may have the Sudoku puzzle that is our starting 5. It looks like it's going to be Chalise Fuaga, Lucas Patrick, Eric McCoy, Cesar Ruiz, and Trevor Penning. Looks like you're going to be your 5. So there was some conversation after the first game. There was some conversation of like, what do you do now? Do you start Trevor Penning? Do you figure something else out? Do you go get a veteran? Is it going to be Saldivari? Is it going to be Lucas Patrick? What do you do? For better or for worse, I think at least we have that 5. I think we have a good idea of who the 5 is going to be and how we're going to start the season. Is it the 5 that's going to finish the season? Can't tell you that. I hope it is, because that means they'll be successful. I certainly hope it is. Man, I thought they had the Trevor Penning. There was a run. Oh, it's here. Okay, I knew they had it on here. Yeah, watch Penning. I mean, again, we show the bad, but I think it is important to show the good as well. So let's take a look.
Here.
I mean, Penning absolutely destroys this young man.
Space,
and then he gives him a second helping. He gave him a little Thanksgiving leftovers that guy certainly didn't ask for. He hit him with the good old fashioned. Hot take. I actually like turkey. I like the leftovers more than like the day of. I love the cold leftover turkey sandwich, white bread, mayonnaise, heavy pepper, heavy on the pepper with the turkey. Throw some cranberry sauce in there, whatever. The gelatinous canned cranberry sauce, not the chutney. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not in Martha's Vineyard. I don't need chutney, okay? I want there to be the aluminum can ridges in my gelatinous goop, my burgundy goop. So take some of that goop, put it on the white bread, put it on the pepper, so much mayonnaise. I like that more than just hot, fresh turkey on Thanksgiving Day. Now, that's a hot take, but that's kind of what I'm on.
So your eyes are right here.
The whole reason I say that is to say that Trevor gave him both. He gave him the baked. This is fresh out the oven right here. And then after that, boom, here's a little extra mayonnaise. Bam, right there.
That is and then you're right in his wheelhouse.
But this right here is as, like you talk about like the Samson Nakua field goal return. This is the version of that for an offensive lineman. This is almost enough for me to be like, okay, maybe Trevor can do something. Maybe Trevor can be whatever. And people are going to say, well, it's a preseason. Well, backups. Well, third string this. Well, third string that. Brother, we watched a 4-minute highlight reel of Trevor Penning rolling around on his back like a sea turtle. All right, I will take what I can get. So this right here, boom, get some. That's what they drafted him for, honestly. Like the whole question of what the hell did they see in Trevor to take him in the first round? It was because he had the physical ability to do this. He had the physical ability to hit a NFL player with the velocity and force to knock him back into different parallel dimensions. I mean, this guy was seeing how the pyramids were built.
Defensive end.
I mean, right there, he is seeing how he's at the pearly gates. He's seeing how the pyramids were built. He's flashing in the future and the present. He is slipping in between dimensions, time, space. Nothing matters to this guy. He's in an absolute continuum. He's in a singularity. He's not even totally sure what planet he's on. The ability to do that is why Trevor Penning was drafted. So if he can put it together, certainly, I'm not even going to say if he can put it together every snap. That's not possible. But if he can put it together enough to give me just an average to below average season, I'll take it. Let's watch it again in its entirety.
Eyes are right here.
This was nice. Trevor's had 2 good-ish games in a row now. He was okay in that second preseason game. He was okay in this preseason.
Then you're not getting up. And as a former right tackle, that's Johnston.
Yeah, I mean, good stuff there from Trevor. You like to see that. So, overall, I thought the preseason was good for the Saints. I think, like I said, it was, it wasn't as much as I think people wanted to see. I think people wanted to see a whole lot more. I think they wanted to see a lot more creativity. I think they wanted to see, or not creativity, but they wanted to see more of the cute stuff. They wanted to see how explosive, dynamic the offense could be, and I think Kubiak actually didn't want to show that. I think they also wanted to see a little more success from the first team offense. We basically saw one possession, one good possession from the first team, which was that 16-play, 95-yard drive. Besides that, pretty poor. Most of the good stuff we saw came from Spencer Rattler, and that it is what it is. So overall, I would say good preseason. Overall, I think it answered enough questions for me. It didn't answer all the questions for me, but it answered. Here, we'll just go up here to this 31-0 Jacksonville Atlanta situation. Atlanta 0-3 is the preseason. I mean, no big deal, I guess. Atlanta giving up 31 points is pretty consistent from last year. So I mean, they're kind of in last year territory already defensively. So that's good. At least they're at their peak defensive levels from last year. But it is what it is. Preseason is never going to be the definitive example of how a team is going to play one way or the other. A team can win 56-0 in every single preseason game and look like the greatest offense of all time. To come to the regular season, they can completely shut down and fall apart. Vice versa, a team can look like this and then win 11, 12 games. So preseason is certainly not definitive. You certainly shouldn't be getting upset about it. There is not a preseason champion. There's not a preseason playoff. There's not a preseason parade, right? So take it for what it was, but I do want to hear from you down below. I do want to hear from you down below in the comment section. What do you think about the preseason? What did you learn? I told you what I learned, and I don't think I missed anything. I learned defense is really, really good. Defensive line is good. Chase Young is good. I learned who the offensive line is going to be, the rotation. I learned that Spencer Rattler is really good. I learned that Spencer Rattler is the backup quarterback and possibly the quarterback of the future. I learned that there is a difference between last year's offense and this year's offense. I learned that our running attack is going to be better. Did I miss anything? I don't. Oh, Blake Grupe. I was very impressed at Blake Grupe in certain spots. At the end of the first half, he had a 54-yarder. And Blake Grupe knows that if he starts missing kicks, he's going to be out of the NFL this preseason. Charlie Smith was knocking on his door, and Grupe, every kick Grupe had to make was for his job. And if that sounds crazy, it's not. If Grupe misses that kick at the end of the half, there might be a conversation of, hey, do we go with Charlie Smith? Right, and they might still. Who the hell knows? But I was impressed to see Grupe making those big pressure kicks and also at distance. I think he made a 52-yard field goal in the second game. So he's showing off the leg a little bit. Is he doing leg extensions? Is he doing Zercher squats? Is he doing goblet squats or deep back squats? I don't know, but I do know he's not using the Smith machine. Nobody gets jacked, succulent, dense, voluptuous, and swole using the Smith machine. No hate, but free weights for life, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know in the comments below what you learned this preseason. I'll be down there reacting, replying. Thank you very much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday fun day, or whenever you're watching this. Monday fun day, Tuesday fun day. Any day can be a fun day if you try hard enough, ladies and gentlemen. I will see you in the next video.